Hello. For this week's discussion, I will be discussing the article Touch Me, Don't Touch Me, Representations of Female Archetypes in Ann Nocenti's Daredevil. This article explains how, for a very long time, males dominated the comic book industry, those of which mainly created and wrote about male protagonists. Even when men would write about a female protagonist, it was argued that these narratives were only shaped by men's experiences and disregarded the general feminist hope. During the time period in which the Daredevil comics were being released, the second wave of feminism was in full effect. Many criticized the stereotypical roles that women were thought to be obligated to fulfill, which were the caretaker and homemaker. A lot of female writers took it upon themselves to attempt to represent the second wave of feminism in their comics, writing primarily about female protagonists in their works. This article also goes into heavy detail about how Western culture has always been sort of scared to create anything that would go against the societal norm that were put into place long ago. Many would describe the treatment of women in this industry as hostile and oppressive due to the overwhelming audience being comprised of males. Women in comics seem to be stuck in their roles as either housewives or the stereotypical pretty bimbo. Because of this, it was quite the surprise when Ann Nocenti became a lead writer for Marvel's Daredevil, which the main protagonist was male. When Ann Nocenti was the lead writer for this series, the third wave of feminism was making significant headway, which focused on the lives of women beyond the typical upper middle class and focused on a more diverse group of women. But it was with this male-led story that Nocenti introduced a more inclusive and diverse set of pieces that empowered women in a new way. For example, the inclusion of Karen Page in the Daredevil storyline serves as a critique to domesticity in American home life. She is included to shine the light on how the typical housewife was portrayed as a dependent victim of their circumstances. She is a symbol of a victim of the pre-second wave time period. As a contrast of this symbol of helplessness and dependence, Mary Typhoid was introduced. On the surface, she seemed like a character that would carry out the typical sweetheart trope that the main protagonist would swoon over her. But her alter ego threatened the typical gender structure that was set into place by the love interest that came before her, and it scared the main character Daredevil. There are several different female side characters, such as Brandy Ash and Number 9, that are introduced in Daredevil that challenge the preconceived notions of women that were commonplace. These characters serve to show the consequences of not only the male character's actions, but also their desires. This article illustrates the struggle for equality that we've discussed previously when we read and talked about the X-Men. Nocenti simply put these issues into comic form in order to get the message across in a way that would directly reach a male audience and potentially get them to listen this way, rather than a more concrete and straightforward approach that may get overlooked. That is all. Thank you.